Today we're going to take you behind the scenes and watch how one team at Riverside County DPSS uses the ad hoc query tool Oracle Discoverer to extract data from C4. Management needs reliable data in order to make decisions, but sometimes standard reports aren't sufficient. That's when ad hoc queries come in. Management describes the problem to the ad hoc query team, in this case the Fiscal GAS systems accountants, and the team comes up with the answer. But how does the team do that? What steps, tools, and thinking do they go through to arrive at the answer? And how do they solve some of the more common problems when using C4 Oracle Discoverer? We're going to watch this team in action as they race against the clock to come up with the answers that management needs. Here, the internal customer is describing to Tony, supervisor of systems accountants, what her situation is. This is the first step to an ad hoc query, the interview.
And of course we need this by the end of today, the end of today's business day. What do you think, Tony? Can it be done?
Well, I'm sure we can do something. We're talking in abstract terms right now. Let's analyze what you've said so far.
The customer has done a good job in describing to Tony the urgency of the query. Tony not only needs to understand the bottom line information that she needs, but also some background information. Some key points to keep in mind are, as a customer, you'll want to think through your problem. What are the constraints or parameters that must be met? Do you want records of only a particular status or within a particular date range? If this is a statistical query, give the team a sense of magnitude, like, are you expecting the result to be 100 of something or 10,000 of something? Don't ask for more data than you really need. You'll see why later in this video. And finally, be sure the team not only understands the what of your bottom line goal, but also the why. This is why Tony asks so many questions. A good interview will facilitate a speedy analysis and query result that will assure that the data is accurate and what you need.
Jim, here's a real straightforward discovery query. Can you crank this one out really quick?
Oh, sure, Tone.
Here's what we need.
So I launch Internet Explorer, establish a connection to the Discoverer tool, and set the initial parameters for a new database query. Now, I've got to choose what business areas I want, and what folders are required, and what fields within those folders will be used. Darn, the field that I was going to link to is not populated. This query is not as simple as we had hoped. I need help.
Okay, guys. Jim has found a problem with the query that we're trying to do. Let's try to work on this together. Jario, do we have any documentation on query with similar logic?
Well, what I found out, this is what we have in our ad hoc query library right now. Look, this is the closest thing right here. You see that this table joins to that table, and this is what we have right now. This is the closest thing I see that we currently have here. We can decide to use this as a model.
Nick, why don't you look this up in the data dictionary?
Okay. I found several items, but only these two I think will be pertinent.
Which two are those first?
Well, right here, you'll see this one.
Okay.
Nick, one of the tools your group uses is the data dictionary. What exactly is that?
Well, a data dictionary is simply a document that describes each field in C4. When you're not sure of what C4 has named a data element, you can do a search of the description of all the fields.
Wait, Nick, you've lost me. What is a field? And what is a data element?
Whenever a worker fills in the various boxes in C4, the worker is really data entering values in what are called fields. For example, date of birth is a field. Address has several fields such as street, city, state, and zip. Some of these fields that are related are grouped together and stored in a table. C4 has over 400 tables. A data element is simply another name for field.
Nick, thanks for getting the proper spelling of those fields in the data dictionary. Martin, can you tell me what page on the schema those fields are on?
You know, I'm getting some data from the vendor table on page 21.
Martin, what is a schema?
Well, a schema just shows how tables are related to each other in the whole database. For example, if you were looking up vendors, you would want to see where all your information for your vendor tables comes from. For instance, you can see up here that this table here, for instance, is related to this table here on these two fields. You can take two approaches. You can go from here over to here, over to here. Or you can come this way from this table to this table to this table, back over to this field. And that's how we'll get all our information. The information might be just current information, or the information could be historical information, or it could be information relating to just Riverside County, which is 33, or all the counties.
Cool, thanks. That sounds like a really handy tool.
You know, it is a very handy tool. We use an electronic copy to do keyword searches, and then we use a hard copy so we can sketch out our strategy and highlight various fields and foreign keys.
Foreign keys?
Yeah, foreign keys, they're a system-generated field that links one table to another on a particular type of data.
Okay, I think we're just about there. We know what fields we're dealing with and what path to take. We know what tables are in the path. Okay, let's try to do another Discover query.
Hey Tony, in order to not lose records, we'll need to do a left outer join between our beginning table and the target table. Discover doesn't do that.
Well, we could call Alex and ask Alex, who's the database administrator, to create a custom folder for us.
Okay, let's call Alex and we'll get rid of those tables in the middle.
Okay, I'll give Alex a call. Hey, Alex.
The guys only have a few hours left. Jim launches Discoverer again and builds the new ad hoc query based on the more complex logic.
Okay, let's download the results into Excel. It'll be easier for the user to work with.
Okay?
Cool, no problem.
To recap, we saw how one ad hoc query team used Discoverer. Phase 1 was the interview phase, in which the team gathered details of the management question. Phase 2 was the analysis phase, in which the team used the data dictionary to identify field names and the schema to strategize how the tables would be linked together. The team also leveraged the DPSS database administrator to create custom folders that Discoverer cannot create. Phase 3, the final phase, is the actual Discoverer query. Well, that's it for this overview of Discoverer. We hope you have some new insights on how an ad hoc query team might approach a management question. This is Melanie Burkhart Hawkins saying thank you and goodbye.